The psychology of people who don't post on social media. Most people live their lives in front of a screen. They post their mornings, their meals, their moods. They measure their worth in hearts and comments. They chase visibility like it's proof of existence. But then there are others, the quiet ones, the ones who don't post. You rarely see them online. They scroll silently, observe quietly, and move differently. And you might think they're just private. But there's something deeper happening here. Because the psychology of people who don't post on social media tells you more about human nature than all the influencers combined. Let's get into it. The first thing to understand is this: not posting is a decision. It's not ignorance of the platform or lack of access. It's a conscious choice to step away from validation loops. See, social media runs on a psychological economy, attention. Every like, comment, and share is a microdose of dopamine, a hit of digital approval. The more you post, the more you depend on that hit. And over time, you start confusing being seen with being significant. But those who stay silent have learned to separate the two. They've realized that validation from others is addictive, and that addiction is subtle. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It makes you feel like you need to prove something every day. Prove you're happy, successful, interesting, loved. People who don't post have learned to stop performing. They've accepted that life doesn't need to be documented to be real. They don't need to show you what they're doing because they're too busy doing it. The second layer is self-containment. In psychology, there's something called self-concept clarity, knowing who you are, what you value, and what you stand for. People with high self-concept clarity don't need mirrors. They don't need constant reflection from others to confirm who they are. Social media, on the other hand, turns everyone into a mirror. Every post invites reflection, feedback, opinions, judgments. Over time, you start to shape your identity based on how others respond to you. You become a character in your own life, performing for an audience you can't see. The ones who don't post, they step off that stage. They keep their energy contained. Their confidence comes from self-understanding, not from applause. They're not hiding, they're just free. Here's another truth. People who don't post understand privacy in a world that glorifies exposure. They've seen how oversharing can cheapen experience, how constant broadcasting can make even the most sacred moments feel transactional. The modern world rewards visibility. Be loud, be seen, be relevant. But those who stay quiet know something important. Not everything valuable needs to be visible. They protect what matters. Their relationships, their peace, their ambitions, all kept out of reach from public consumption. Because once you expose your private life to the crowd, it stops being fully yours. It becomes something the crowd owns, comments on, and corrupts. So they choose silence. They choose control. They understand that peace is easier to protect when fewer people have access to your world. Now, let's talk about energy. Posting takes energy, not just the act itself, but the mental space that comes with it. You post something, and suddenly your mind is waiting for feedback, checking notifications, wondering who saw it, who didn't, who cared. It's subtle, but it splits your focus. It makes your sense of worth dependent on something external. Those who don't post keep their energy closed loop. They think, they create, they reflect, without the need to broadcast every step. They live life in full, not in preview. They don't need to narrate their growth. They're too busy growing. They don't need to announce their goals. They're too busy achieving them. They don't need to explain themselves to people who wouldn't understand anyway. There's also something deeply psychological about choosing silence in a noisy world. The less you post, the more invisible you become. And invisibility is a kind of power. When you stop broadcasting every move, you become unpredictable. People can't measure you. They can't form opinions on incomplete information. You stop being a public image and return to being a person. And that's something most people have forgotten how to be. The modern world tells you that if you're not visible, you're irrelevant. But the truth is, when everyone's shouting, the one who stays quiet becomes the most mysterious voice in the room. Mystery creates gravity. It draws attention without asking for it. It builds respect without seeking it. And that's the paradox. Those who crave attention end up looking desperate. Those who don't seek it often become the most intriguing. Now let's get into a deeper layer. Control. Social media is designed to make you reactive. You see something and you react, like comment, share, post, compare. It's a behavioral loop engineered to keep you scrolling. People who don't post have broken that loop. They've realized that the best way to stay mentally strong is to stay unpredictable to the system. They refuse to let algorithms define what they think, feel, or want. They don't post, not because they're antisocial, but because they're anti-conditioning. They want their thoughts to be original, not shaped by trends. They want their emotions to belong to them, not to a crowd. They see how easily social media distorts perception, how it amplifies superficial success and hides internal emptiness. They've watched people become addicted to performing happiness while quietly falling apart inside, and they've chosen to opt out, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness, not because they don't care, but because they do. Let's talk about fear. Most people don't realize that much of social media behavior is driven by fear. Fear of being forgotten, fear of not being seen, fear of irrelevance. The ones who don't post have faced that fear and defeated it. They don't need visibility to validate existence. They're grounded in the kind of self-trust that doesn't need proof. They understand something most people overlook. The world forgets quickly. Attention fades fast. Chasing it only drains you. So they build lives that don't depend on the crowd. They invest in peace, purpose, discipline, depth. And ironically, the less they post, the more they live. The more they live, the less they need to prove. Now, this doesn't mean everyone who posts is lost. Sharing can be connection, expression, article, but the difference lies in why you share. If you post from fullness, from creation, insight, or joy, it's healthy. If you post from emptiness, from needing attention or approval, it's dependency. And people who don't post often have learned to fill that emptiness without the crowd. They find validation in silence, peace in solitude, pride in privacy. They've discovered a truth most people miss, that not everything you feel needs to be shared, and not every moment needs to be witnessed to be meaningful. So, what does all this mean for you? Maybe you don't need to disappear from social media entirely. But it's worth asking, why do I post? Who am I trying to convince? What part of me needs to be seen so badly? Because once you understand that, you start taking your power back. You stop chasing attention and start cultivating presence. You stop performing life and start living it. And maybe, just maybe, you realize that silence isn't absence, it's strength. That privacy isn't isolation, it's control. That not posting doesn't mean you're hiding. It means you're growing quietly, away from noise. Here's the irony of it all. The people who don't post on social media are often the ones others talk about the most. Their silence makes people wonder. Their absence creates curiosity. Their restraint radiates depth. Because in a generation obsessed with showing off, discipline looks like mystery. So next time you see someone who doesn't post, don't assume they're invisible. They're not disconnected. They're just focused. They're not behind. They're ahead. Because they understand something the world forgot. That life is richer when it's lived, not performed. That the mind is clearer when it's quiet, not crowded. And that peace begins the moment you stop needing an audience. Maybe that's the real rebellion now. To live your life fully, privately, and on your own terms. To be the kind of person who doesn't need to post about every win, every loss, every step. To build a world so whole inside yourself that you no longer need the crowd to clap. Because while everyone else is performing, you're becoming quietly, powerfully, unseen. And that's where real freedom begins.